welcome back. ACDC fans have been left thunderstruck by news that the band will replace their frontman Brian Johnson with Gunners singer Axl Rose. It's been met with anger from even the most ardent fans who say they have treated Brian with contempt.
Axl Rose will front the group for its rock and bus tour of Europe and the US. The question is, will this rock or will it bust the ACDC brand?
Well, let's turn to our masters of spin. There is Tim Allerton, of course, from City Public Relations, also Chief Prefect of the team this morning. Where's your tie?
Australia Zoo.
And Dan Gregory from the Impossible Institute. Morning to you both. Now, of course, ACCA DACCA. Some say have completely misread their fanatical fan base by seeking to, perpetuate the life of the band. They've sort of become a corporation anyway, so why wouldn't they just replace their MD?
Well, it's a fair indication that they've been a corporation by the way they announced Brian's departure by saying they wished him well in his future ventures. Yeah. That's like sacking the chief executive and moving on. They've thrown him under a bus, and to the point where he had to put out his own statement the next day to clarify the issue. So clearly they've moved on, the caravan's moved on, and...
But, I mean, he has now a profound hearing issue, or a very troubling hearing issue due to his many years on the road. So, presumably he can't continue to perform that way. Why wouldn't they replace him?
Look, there's a couple of things going on. Firstly, value is always relative. So what you've got to remember is this is a multi-generational band. So Back in Black was the first album I ever bought, but I was in 5th grade when I bought that. So I'm at the younger part of that cohort. So let's assume that you've got fans that are sitting between 40 and 60, and as we get older, we like change less and less. So there's people looking at Axl Rose going, well, he's no Brian Johnson. In the same way, there were people looking at Brian Johnson going, well, he's no Bon Scott.
Yes.
However, the difference is the way we found out about Brian Johnson replacing Bon Scott was with an album, Back in Black, which is arguably one of the best rock albums of all time. The way we found out about Axl Rose is through social media, and we formed opinions before we had any evidence to judge them by.
Sure. So can they win fans back?
Yeah, I think they can. I mean, as long as the product is good. There's only one member in the band still there, Angus Young. So effectively, it's an entirely different beast to what it was in the early 70s. If the product's good and the sound's good, I mean, I would imagine the product would have to be better, because I heard them out at the ANZ Stadium last year and they were appalling.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when your lead singer's deaf. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Coca-Cola may have gone flat as our love for the brand dwindles. They've given themselves a packaging makeover, Dan. Is it likely to win affections or just confuse Coke drinkers?
Look, I think it will confuse Coke drinkers. One of the things that's going on, Coca-Cola calls this trademark advertising. And essentially what they do is they look to create economies of scale. So instead of selling Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola Zero and Diet Coke and Coke Life, they try to sell one product. It's Coca-Cola available in 4 varieties.
Yeah, right.
So they're looking for economies of scale. And they actually tried it once before, about 10 years ago, and what happened was people were absolutely confused because we don't experience them as different products. We met them at different times during our lifetime, and we associate them as being different products. So it's actually a really difficult ask to spend less money and have people, associate that as one brand.
I hate cola, but the only reason I want to drink Coke is because of the packaging and the branding. So the profits are going. Is this just people going off sugary drinks, just quickly?
Yeah, I mean, last quarter they announced a revenue of $13 billion, so I wouldn't say that they're in enormous trouble at this point, but obviously people are moving to more healthier products, and they have need to adapt to it.
Well, if you're outraged, I mean, just start importing thumbs up cola from India. Well, it's a simple answer.
It's more than just one product. They've got fans